need to come back, right? It was working fine. Why? And micromanagers are like, I need to literally watch you. You got to understand the environment and see if there's something you can do. Self-reflect yourself. Studies shows it, and if you Google whitening resume, a lot of people are concerned about it. There are people that are saying it's slacking off, don't do it. And there are people who are saying, you know what? Why would I go above and beyond, right? It's more like I'm going to go somewhere that I am celebrated. Hi everyone, this is Sweta Ragmi, streaming live from Canada. A little bit later on, I'm going to go through the high level. I have a free resume class for you for 60 minutes, and registration link is right there. You can go ahead and register it. It's a one-day course, which is, you don't need one day. Literally, you would be ready to go and land those interviews in an hour. The class is an hour. The registration link is right there for you. What happened to me? For those of you who do not know me, who I am a hiring manager. I still hire, but I have a small business. But then I used to be hiring manager in a hiring world for more than a decade in award-winning company in Canada. And whenever I was looking at the resume, I was picking and choosing particular ones. And I didn't realize it at that time. But when I got laid off within 1 minute over the phone. I didn't see it coming. I didn't have my resume ready to go. And I struggled because I was hiring the people. But then like when it came to me, I was really lacking that. Where do I go and put my branding together on a resume? It was so, I think almost the ego that I had. I had managed so many teams in a corporate world. I had like 9 promotions out of 12 years, right? And I moved up the ladder, and not once I had to submit the resume. It was a resume I had to submit it, but a lot of it was based on my meeting my target KPIs and my manager's recommendations and my already built-in, reputation internally. So resume was not a big deal at that time, right? So it was all about networking, and it's all about getting a project done, being successful, and here I am ready for the next role. So that's how I moved up the ladder. And no one teaches you in a corporate world, how do you write the resume? Of course, they will never teach you because you're going to leave then, right? And colleges and university do not teach that either. So I struggled after I got laid off because I had no clue. Now, how do I start? And my role was so customized, meaning that particular title that I had in a leadership role, it was not even available outside. And that's the reason I was not actually getting any interviews, 0 interviews. Now, talk about that, right? The self-confidence and self-doubt kicking in. Here I am, a top performer, killing it in the corporate world, and thinking that, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to get multiple offers. I'm going to start the role right away. It did not happen. And that destroyed everything I had, right? I was like, you know what? Who am I? I don't have a title. I know that I know that I can do the job. Tell me how many of you feel right now. You're feeling the same thing right now that I felt years back ago. Give me heart emojis. So I knew that I can do the work. Absolutely, I can do it 100%. But the fact is I'm not even getting any interviews. And that was me. Despite the fact that I was a hiring manager, I've interviewed thousands of people at that time. I promoted my staff. I did everything, and I knew I was a star performer. Here I am struggling, not even getting a single interview. You know what it felt like? I felt like I'm not good enough for anybody. The ego that I had, not willing to learn, thinking that employers need me more than I need them. You know why? Because we, as a person, as a human, we're not used to receiving the feedback. It just, that's not us, especially if it's free. I developed the resume writing course. I never had an intention to develop this resume writing course at all. Let me tell you why I did that. So I always work with one-to-one coaching, resume writing. I prefer to teach people how to write the resume. Coming from the resume writer, I'm a certified resume strategist, by the way. I'm a certified career strategist. And that's my bread and butter. If someone tells me that, hey, can you write me the resume? And I like to be ethical and I go through the checklist. Okay. Do you understand who you are? Where's the clarity? Can you fix this later on if I'm not around? Because resume writing is really costly. And in everything that I've worked as a hiring manager, from the days that I was hiring to the clients who are getting multiple offers, even the newcomers, any newcomers in the house, give me thumbs up. Any newcomers in the house, you got to go and register for this course as well, especially in Canada. And newcomers, when I came into the business, I quit after I got laid off. Let me go back. I went back to the leadership role. I didn't like it. Within 1 year, I quit. And then I started working in the nonprofit because I really wanted to build a branding there. And I want to see, what do they offer? Why would people hire me when they can get the free services, right? I saw it. What an eye opener. I took advantage of it too. I was like, oh my God, this is like so outdated, right? So I was blown away by the templates they're using, the people who I started. I'm going to fully launch this Teachndo, which is my company. And this is why I'm very passionate about teaching, because I don't want people to come back to me and say, hey, write for me. No, I'll teach you. That's going to be forever. That's why a lot of my clients, what they do is when they get this course, they go with the similar strategy and they make more than like 50%, 40% higher because of a resume. And I'll tell you what, the resume's job is not to get you higher, but if you know what you want, the clarity and everything, what happens is you would be able to articulate that in an interview. And for those of you, I wanted to tell you this, if someone writes anything for you, can you actually go and explain it? Absolutely not. You have to understand who you are. You have to write it yourself. And it's going to be very easy for you to sit down on that interview and articulate. And a lot of clients of mine, the play clients, what they do is they know now who they are. There's a clarity. And then they go write the resume based on the job description they're targeting. They're not spraying and praying. They're not hitting that easy apply. They're not putting the applications on the job board and then one resume and then hoping that, praying that they're going to get the interview. That's not how it works. I'm going to be blunt here. How many of you think if you're targeting one role, sales manager on particular industry, let's feel the banking industry. If you're targeting that role, go pull 10 job descriptions from the banking industry for the same title. Are those job descriptions exactly the same? Absolutely not. So what makes you think that one resume would do it all? This is why you need to understand the languages of the targeted role. And that's what I have on the resume writing course here. It's free. What I do is I cover the 7 C's of clarity. I give you the workbook as well. And even to the point where I give you the test, that the link where it uses the Myers Briggs theory on it, and you can see where you fit in. That's not to say that this is the right role for you. If you do not have a clarity, if you do the quiz as well, it would give you the clarity of it. Oh, you know what? I might be fit here, right? Depending on how you answer. And then there's a workbook as well, which gives you the list of things to do. That's the foundation of job search. And that's exactly what I did when I wanted to land multiple interviews. And that's a framework that I applied for myself before teaching other people by implementing what did I do by interviewing a lot of hiring manager, my colleagues and everything from the world, and then understanding from the hiring manager perspective that I completely missed it when I became a job seeker, right? And what a way to actually go back to the foundations, and that's clear. And then you go back and start writing the resume. And I also have a sample in that class as well, where a high-level sample of where the things goes, why it is the way it is in the resume, how can you have the hiring managers and recruiters' attentions in 10 seconds? right? And there's a thing out there, ATS, applicant tracking system. So I talk about it briefly, showing the backend tool that I've used. If you don't walk away with 10 things, you will learn so many golden nuggets from this class. You would learn so much about yourself. So you can go back and reflect it and say, if now you're ready to actually understand how the resume writing world has changed, how do you have the hiring manager's attention in 10 seconds. As a hiring manager, I had to reflect back and think about it and see, okay, you know what, why did I spend 5 seconds on one resume versus 10 seconds on the other one and 1 second? So the rule of thumb at 10 second was, I put that in there was, we have an attention span of less than 10 seconds, less than the goldfish. The research said it. So when I understood the resume, when I wanted to hire someone, what I did was, okay, I quickly scanned it, right? That's not to say that I'm not going to scan, I'm not going to sit 1 to 2 minutes. It takes more than that. I quickly scanned it. I immediately knew that, okay, that could be a fit, and I'm going to park it aside to look at it later on in detail, right? And that's why you need to have their attentions. And I teach all of that on my resume class as well. You can go in and right now it's open. It's a first ever course that I put it in there. You can go ahead and do that, quiz and clarity, all those things and I think a lot of people, what they do is they go and see the Google advice. And then what they will do is they will go and see, oh, it's ATS. It must be ATS. There's ATS template. I know that if I get that template, then I'm sold. That's not how it's going to work. You got to understand who you are. You got to understand the industry and the lingo and the job descriptions. And then ATS is one part of the hiring process where obviously because of compliance, we as a hiring manager would have to follow the protocol, which is posting the job first. Before posting it, there's going to be intake meeting with the recruiters or talent acquisition team who are assigned for the particular role or business partner in the corporate world, right? Or sometime it would be the third party agency recruiter. We'll give them a checklist as a hiring manager. All the recruiters are doing, guys, is looking at the checklist and qualification based on what the hiring manager wants and picking that up, sourcing from LinkedIn, picking that up from the resume, and then some ATS would scan it with a higher score. Some ATS would not do it. They still have to go and review all the resume. The resumes are there. The only time, and I cover that on my class, how you could be potentially knocked out. I cover that on my resume class as well. This is a class I'm talking about, free resume class, register now. This is what I'm talking about. And I have a lot of testimonials where newcomers landed in Canada. They were struggling, they gave up, and then literally later on, and right after taking this class, a paid one, obviously the one-to-one, they got multiple offers. They've been employed in the top companies. It is possible, and they were well qualified. All they needed was the directions. I'll tell you what, if the newcomers who had no experience in Canada could get into the dream role that they didn't even think about it, there's a live testimonials on YouTube as well. That I'm not saying this, right? And I'd like to be very transparent when I bring my clients. I tell my clients, look, you get to inspire people. I want the authentic stories all the time. I want you to share the struggles as someone, as a job seeker, so that way people feel like, oh my God, I'm right there, right? I don't want the sweet story only. Yes, you landed the multiple interviews, but I really want you to educate on how you felt, how you lacked the confidence, right? And how did you bounce back? Things like that. So now when you go there on here, when you click on it, it would take you to the registration page, and then you can go and register there. When you click on that link, it would take you to these Teachndo yourself. And then I talk about the 80-20 rule. And then you see all those. All you got to do is enter your email, and then your class is right there for you. You have to confirm the email. Your class is right there for you. And you are ready to go. All those client testimonials right there. It's not a joke, right? It's not a joke. They're saying it. There's our hiring managers when I'm literally inviting hiring managers to share, okay, why did you hire me? You're a hiring manager, right? These are all things. And I can't do more than this. I cannot put more testimonials than this, right? So that's why you got to go and take it, understand the resume world, and then you're good to go.
So about the resume, tailoring a resume, how much of that, or what specific sections of the resume need to be tailored for each job?
Pretty much. Now, let me ask you this. When you are looking at the job description, is your resume matching like at least 80 to 90% for that role, word to word?
I would say like 75% to about 90%. Yeah.
Okay. Are you getting interviews at all?
Yeah, I've had 42 interviews in 4.5 months. So maybe I guess I don't need to change it that much, but I
Okay.
just want to know, I mean, is like 30% of a tailored resume okay?
It depends on the type of job description. To me, it looks like you're doing a
Hmm.
great job to get those interviews. What's going on? Why are you not getting hired? Did they give you any feedback? Is there any areas of opportunities that you want to probably review it maybe in that channel?
Yeah, the feedback was to use the star method more. I
Mm.
mean, I'm very detailed. I don't know how detailed they want it. I guess very, very detailed. So it was just that.
Like you're doing everything fine, to be honest, because you're getting
Okay,
interviews. But I'm really
sounds good.
concerned about like 42 interviews and not converting it. And you got it right. So this is where I can help
Hmm.
people as well on interview coaching. My clients have landed like, role in Amazon and like, a lot of companies where they do back-to-back interviews, and that's totally on a star technique. And I used to do that as well as a manager, star, right? Like, star, and I
Okay.
use the car model. And if you're not ready
Hmm.
to invest yet, I totally understand it. You can go on my YouTube channel. I am, by the way, on TikTok as well. And I have a lot of information, free resources there as well. Take a look at it. In fact,
Okay.
I just posted car model on my TikTok just yesterday. Go ahead and see it. It's a simple model. And I have
Hmm.
blog on how do you answer the interview questions using the car and car model. You can go ahead and subscribe to that.
Okay. Thank you. I'll definitely check that out.
You're welcome.
You think I can actually really edit? Let's say if I know or 5 or 10 ERP hard skills, if I know 5 or 6 soft skills, and these are my 5 or 6 achievements, what else can one edit? I know it's a prolonged discussion. Job within Canada, I'm in Montreal, and for some reasons I'm trying to move to Calgary, based off like maybe because of French speaking things and everything. And how can I highlight that in resume? Like, do I need to really put an address which is in Calgary, maybe my friend's or cousin's address? Or is it like, where can I showcase my employer that most of the job offers would be a hands down when an employer sees me, okay, this candidate is in Montreal. No, this is not happening. But do I need to really take off my address, or just put kind of like what kind of approach do you think that it would be best in this kind of interprovincial job change?
Okay, so I cover that on my free resume class as well, but I'm going to give you high level of it. So when it comes to soft skills, you've talked about I have communication collaborations. As a hiring manager, as a recruiter, I don't look into my system who has a communication skills and collaboration skills, right? That's something I would not know how collaborative you are unless I start working with you. And then I would already know the communication skills looking at the resume and when I'm talking an interview. That's why there's an interview. So I would not focus too much on soft skills unless it's on the resume. It's on the job posting and type of role you're applying for, where they're going to be listing it out, right? So that's what I would go when you talk about the hard skills and technical skills. So I can't tell you right now, like what sections you need to check it. But then again, my thing is, are you qualified for the role? That's my thing, right? And I cover that on my resume course, which is a free one. Take a look at it. What I'm looking at from the hiring manager perspective, that you need to communicate that on resume itself. Now, let's talk about moving to the different area. That happened to me after I got laid off. I moved from Toronto to 5 hours away, which is Sudbury, and I normal. And later on, what I decided to do was, even I tell my clients as well, if you're moving from one place to the other one, you can probably put like, you don't have to put the street address. That's a no-go anyway, because there are a lot of identity theft going on, especially if you're putting the resume all over in the internet. You don't want to do that, because that's why people are going to call you and offer you the fake jobs. So wherever you're moving, just put the province and the city, that's fine. And then at the bottom, you would probably put willing to relocate, right? And it depends. Some employers willing to relocate on a higher leadership role. They're willing to offer you compensations. Some employees would probably ask you, some recruiters would ask you, hey, are you moving yourself? When are you going to be moving? Or, do you need the compensation? And that's where the salary negotiation package comes in. That's the end conversation. But some might weed you out because you're not local. But then if you put it out there, I'm willing to relocate, recruiters and hiring manager cannot read your mind if you don't provide those information, right? So I'm like, take full accountability for it without lying and go from there. Okay.
Hey, Sweta. First of all, it's just great to see you, and anytime I get the chance to talk to you, it's a blessing. The one thing I wanted to add, and I apologize for kind of including this, is when we're talking about those relocation packages, you have to be really careful, because some companies that offer them will require that you stay at that company for a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
or else you have to pay back that amount. And that's something people definitely need to ask and keep in the back of their mind, because a lot of times this is like $10,000-$15,000 worth.
Yes, yeah, Dan, thank you so much for saying that, because that happened to my clients. That actually happened to one of my close family members as well. That's a great point on it. Yeah, we negotiated later on, but that's a very good point. Yeah.
Resume or CV be short, or we can keep it long? Like I have a CV of mine, 5 pages, and the more experience.
Right. So if the job description is 5 pages, and if you have to communicate for like more than 2 pages, you're fine. But it does depend on the type of role you're targeting. Plus, like I've seen the IT technical people up to like more than 5 pages, and that's what the client wanted, the recruiters wanted, right? So on the job descriptions, look at it and see, can you communicate everything in 2 pages? There's no hard rule, but I'd like to stick with 2 pages or 3 pages, depending on the experience. So if you moved up so much already, and if you worked in the industry for more than 20 years, if the job description wants a 20 years, then, how do you navigate around it, right? So the answer would be on a job description. So there's no rule that you must go and cringe everything in 1 pages. To do what you got to do, so that way you capture everything that they want from the job descriptions. Hopefully that answers your questions. And 1 hour just goes by quickly. You can just listen to the video. You can do the workbook, understand it. By tomorrow, like by Monday, you're ready to just go ahead and understand the resume world and apply. And hopefully you land the interviews. And if you feel like you need more directions, then there's the other course that I have, which you're going to get an email once you sign up. And I would really want you to get a lot of interviews so you can negotiate and then get the job offers at the minimal cost, which is less than 1%. You're going to be investing in yourself, especially if you're not landing interviews. I hope this